It's easy to hear your favorite artist on WFPK from wherever you are. Listen on your smart speaker, live stream from our website at WFPK.org from Louisville Public Media.
So is it cold out there yet? Is it getting chilly?
Consequence Podcast Network. Welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith With. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thank you, as always, for making your way here, checking out the series. Please hit the subscribe button so you can keep up with all of the interviews that we put out. 3 brand new ones every single week. That's a new one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to keep you up to date on your favorite artists, discover some new ones, know what's happening in the music world. All the usual spots like iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Acast, Podchaser, NPR, YouTube for the video versions, or anywhere you get your podcasts from. I'm Kyle Meredith. Today I'm talking with Steve Perry. We're going to be discussing The Season, his entry into the canon of holiday albums. The former Journey singer tells us about how last year's absence of a Christmas feeling and missing loved ones led him to a stronger reconnection with this year's season, along with the songs and memories of his childhood, as well as discussing the timelessness of the original classics, injecting his own occasional lyrics, and the 2 original holiday songs he's written and recorded that could be released in the near future. Now, Steve also talks about the lack of space and use of autotune in today's music that's really wiped out some of the mystery and emotion, shares his appreciation of Barbra Streisand, and gives the story behind Trace's bonus track, October in New York. I was so excited to do this one. It is my honor to be talking with him today. It's Kyle Meredith with Steve Perry.
Hello.
The Season, by the way, is beautiful. And really, there is a lot of Christmas albums and holiday records in the world throughout the past 100 years, but it's rare to find one that, I don't know, there's some magic in there that, I can connect to. So I want to pay you the compliment first that that's exactly what happened when I listened to The Season.
Oh, Kyle, you're warming the cockles of my heart, buddy. I'll tell you, that's all I was hoping for, because the people that originally sang these songs when I was younger touched me in a way that I was hoping I could try to get a little bit close to myself. I must tell you that, last Christmas was very difficult for everyone, and for me too. And I could not access any simple holiday spirit at all last year. There was too much anxiety going on with the pandemic. And so it was an empty sort of holiday for me. And so when June came around, I started messing around with some of these songs with my keyboardist, Dallas. And remotely with the internet, we started sending files of piano parts, and I sing in my studio, send it back to him. He put some bass on it, back and forth. And so we did it together remotely because of the COVID situation. And it started to get me in touch with, by the way, for so many reasons, the original feeling of Christmas, because these songs is where I would get it every year as a child. It would be these songs. And my determined sort of like aspiration was to try to touch a little bit of the original emotion that was given to me by the original versions, like the Nat Cole version, or even the Bing Crosby "I'll Be Home for Christmas," or Ella Fitzgerald "What Are You Doing New Year's Eve." I mean, these songs really meant a lot to me when I was younger, and the vocalists who sang them were, needless to say, definitive as the word implies. So it was a challenge for me to be honest, get near such vocal performances. So I did the best I could to try to touch it from my side of the fence, because those versions are so amazing. But I got emotionally close to what I think I needed to experience for me, because I needed to feel some spirit of Christmas this year too.
Well, there's something about these songs, and I'll echo that to you. I think a lot of us felt that same way last year. I remember my parents saying over and over that they just didn't, it didn't feel like Christmas, you know, and we had to say, my wife, who loves Christmas songs during this season, just really had no interest in hearing them. And it's been that complete turnaround this year. And it is something, I'm just echoing what you're saying about those old classics, but there is magic in there. And the sense of nostalgia, I mean, is so strong in music as it is, of course, but especially, I don't know, what is it about Christmas songs that brings back that, it's even that extra mile of nostalgia that I think just, you know, another great song of your life can have. Like what is that?
Well, when you have a song that says something like faithful friends who are near to us, who are dear to us once more. I mean, we could not have our faithful friends near to us last year. The people that were dear to us, we could not have them around. I think it's been a wake-up call to the things we took for granted year after year. And these songs are talking from a time when that wasn't an issue, you know. So I just think that I don't know, man. Kyle, I don't know how deep you want to get to this, but I'll tell you, people need people. People need people, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people want to talk about it, but you better realize that it don't matter what or who or what is out there. People need people.
Absolutely.
And occasionally they're going to piss us all off because they're like us. You know, they're just like we are sometimes. And so when we get into the holidays, I don't know how else to connect to memories of my dearest departed relatives than these songs when I heard them in my grandmother's kitchen, you know, when she was cooking, and I heard the lyric, please have snow and mistletoe and presents under a tree. Kyle, when I was singing that song with my eyes closed, that lyric came out of me, and I was standing in the door jamb of her kitchen looking into her living room where the tree was with tinsel on it, to the point it touched me. I forgot the next lyric. And I had to open my eyes to look at the paper. Well, what's the next lyric? Then I realized, holy shit. It felt like I was really there, and I got freaked out. You know, I mean, I guess I just have a longing, Kyle, to touch that again. So this record really, for me, was emotional therapy to return to the spirit of things that I miss.
Yeah, I think I'd seen either in other interviews or the press release, you talking about your grandmother's Philco radio, which sent me down a hole of looking at those old radios that I love so much too. By the way, that press photo of you in front of that TV is really impressive for the time. I will say that is a big TV for the time that you're in front of.
that was the big 70-incher at the time, man. That was
Wow.
the big stuff right there. That was what we call a Portuguese flat screen right now.
I'm sure all the neighbors wanted to come look at TV.
I'm Portuguese. I can say that, by the way. Oh, they all want to come over and watch that old Motorola. Ooh, black and white, lovely.
No, you know, like when you were a kid, when you were hearing these, and I was thinking about this a lot when I was listening to your record. Like, you know, I was talking earlier about just the magic in songs like this, but it's interesting that I think I even realized that then. Like, sure, it was songs that we heard once a year and that made them a little bit different, but there was some, like, I felt that then. It wasn't just me connecting to the past now looking back. Like, did you have that same emotion when you were younger hearing these songs? Do you remember that?
I did. And that was the challenge, to see if I could emotionally, you know, look, I can never be anything like the originals, nor would I try. It's just, they're too charged with timeless performances, timeless voices like Nat Cole.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just, Bing Crosby. These are timeless. They're embedded in our DNA. And I think that DNA is an interesting thing. I know you're young, Kyle, but I'm telling you, DNA is like an encoding machine, and your relatives, have loved those original versions, and the love they had for those original versions is in your DNA. So when you hear it, I think things resonate. You know, I think that this is generationally and emotionally in your DNA, and that's why these songs are so important. And there's a certain reverence I felt towards them, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't overstep my bounds, I guess.
Well, you brought up, Nat King Cole a couple times. I mean, his voice, you're right, by the way. I wouldn't call it powerful, but it is so emotionally powerful. It's not a Christmas song, but I think Nature Boy is one of the greatest songs of all time. Like, it's still one of those, like,
how about
something.
Stardust? Have you
Oh,
heard Stardust?
absolutely. Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Really? I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah.
I know.
And just to be playing in the same ballpark with the songs that he's done. I know that's
it was
going to be
scary.
some intimidation, right?
Oh, intimidation. Thank you is the word. I mean, I would try to start singing these songs. I'm thinking, should I do this? I mean, should I really do this? This is a little, am I creating some sacrilege here? What's happening? But then I just had fun with it and kept doing it. And I had the support of my co-producer, Tom Flowers, and he thought they were great. And so did Dallas, who did the tracks for me and helped me with the arrangements. So, I thought they were good enough, and I emotionally feel proud of them. But like I said, I can only do my interpretation of them and be as reverent to the original melodies as possible.
Well, there must have been some comfort because you do throw in your own lines every now and then, just a little.
I do. I got to stretch a little bit. Come on, Kyle. And then of course, Winter Wonderland, I stretched into an R&B thing there, and then Santa Claus is Coming to Town, I stretched into sort of a Motown thing because I love that. I thought we should have some up rhythms too,
I mean, Motown knew how to do Christmas so well.
Oh boy.
I mean, they knew how to do everything so well, but they knew how to tap into it. But I don't know, maybe I'm going too far on this one. But when I think about you putting in your own lines, like there is a little bit of that opportunity to I don't know, co-write with these bygone heroes in a way. I don't know if you ever look at it like that.
Well, it's stepping out, and it's again has to be slight.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's easy to step too far out. when the melodies are so definitive and so timeless, I'm real sensitive to how far I step out of it. But the way I sing, I guess, has a character to it, and that just sort of has its own, I think, step out too.
Did you ever think about writing your own Christmas song? Because I would think as an artist, like that's, like I think about Slade, and I love the band Slade, their music and everything. But, half of the fun thing about that is they get their paycheck once a year, really, with that, if you land that Christmas song, like you're set for, more than just a few decades, like you're set for at least 100 years.
Well, it's funny you say that because I do have two. After recording these, I got inspired, and there's two Christmas songs sitting there that are originals. Yeah.
Oh, what are you going to do with
them?
What
happens. We'll see what happens. I don't know.
All right.
They're kind of already recorded, and they're not mixed yet, but they're laid in there.
I'm really interested in hearing that. I mean, as a fan of yours, but just especially with this conversation, and what we're talking about. I mean, inspired by the past.
It was inspired by the path of making this record, and I got a couple of things sent to me from Dallas, just some chord changes, and I started singing melodies and started building these tracks. And there's two ones sitting there. There's actually another one perking on the back burner too. So, but there's also quite a few amazing other Christmas songs that were not on this record that could be possibly on another one. But we'll see what happens as time progresses here.
Well, I know we're wrapping up on time, but I didn't get to mention even the music. I wanted to compliment you that on too. It surprised me the minimal production when I really, because it feels like there's a lot going on, and then suddenly I lay back and say, you know what, there's not that much going on, but you're making it sound like the space is doing a lot in
Well,
your.
that's interesting you say that, because when I was very young, I learned something from some of the greatest singers, and that was this: what you do say is important, but what you don't say sets up what you do when you finally do it.
Mhm.
So the space between these moments is even more important, because when you go away, what you come back with has to matter, and then you say something, and that's got to matter, and then you stop, and now that space is setting up the next thing that comes in, and when it comes in, it has to come in and it has to matter. So you're absolutely right. It is the give and take of what's there and what's not there that becomes the whole performance.
I think a lot of people have forgotten. I don't know if that's fair, but it's not. It doesn't feel as important in today's music, in today's newer music. That space, like everything has to
Well,
be.
you just nailed it, because we could do a whole program on that one alone. Okay, because with filling in the spaces in auto tune, by the way,
Mhm.
auto tune has turned everybody into the same singer, which I think is tragic.
No, I agree. I agree. There's I don't know. There is. I'm going to overuse the word. I don't mind overusing it. There is magic in those moments right there, in imperfections, I guess.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely, absolutely. You know, I was told a long time ago by a very bright musician. He said, when you listen to somebody as beautiful as a Streisand, I mean, you just your heart just, I can't believe she can do this. You know, how is she doing this? And then you listen to Muddy Waters, and you get an emotional touch too. Well, they're totally two different vocal directions, totally two different vocal timbres, different styles. Well, one is angelic and beautiful, and the other has some struggle in it, and it's the struggle in the imperfections that you pull for too.
yeah.
So it's a human thing. Singing is the most primal thing. You know, it really is a very primal form of communication, and obviously it's going to be around for a while, which is why I'm not so happy that people are washing out this description we just talked
Mhm.
about with autotune.
Yeah, it's just coincidentally interesting that you brought up Streisand. I've been listening to her version of "Send in the Clowns" quite a bit
Oh
more
my
recently
God,
with us.
please
Yeah,
don't even. Oh,
yeah.
come on.
That's
That
that's
first of all,
perfection,
the song is a perfectionate song.
right?
The song is genius. The way the lyrics make all these leaps. Don't bother, they're here. I mean, wow, I get goosebumps thinking about that statement.
Yes,
But she just kills it. She
yeah.
kills it.
Just every line, and if you watch the videos of her performing line, like she, you know, on the actress side of her too, I mean, she is living every single line of that in that moment. That's
I got
yeah.
to see her live on that last tour where they carpeted the venues
Hmm.
back about, I don't know, years ago. I think it was like maybe 8 years ago or something. And I sat in the front row, and I got to watch her sing from. I don't know what to tell you, except that I was so fortunate to be in that position.
Yeah, incredible. I can't imagine. I
Yeah,
really can't
yeah,
imagine in that moment.
yeah.
Well, Steve, again, the compliments on the season. Of all the things that we're saying here, I feel that way about what you're doing too. I enjoyed Traces so much. Yeah,
Oh, thank you.
October in New York is such a beautiful song. I just wanted to say that because I love it so much. And yeah, just what you're doing. Keep doing it, please. I hope you're going to keep doing this.
I will keep doing it. And let me tell you a little quick story about
Uh-huh.
October in New York, if you got a second.
Sure, absolutely.
So I was finishing Traces, and we were pretty much done. And Al Schmidt, who we just lost, is one of the most brilliant recording engineers of all time, especially the music we're talking about, and has worked with greats like Sinatra and Cole and Sam Cooke all the time. So Al and I became friends, and I was at Capitol Studios that day, and he was recording with Patrick Williams, and it was just a friend of his who was an arranger, an old arranger like him, and they were doing this beautiful emotional piece. And I leaned over to Patrick's assistant. I said, "Well, what is he doing with this?" He says, "Well, he just wrote this a couple weeks ago. He just wanted to lay it down." I'm thinking he's got 100 strings out there. He's laying this down, you know. It was, of course, sounded beautiful because Al just, recorded everything with lush sonics. And I leaned over. I said, "Could I have your number?" So I called him later. I said, "Could we all get together, you, me, and Patrick? Because I have some ideas." So that's what happened. I went to Patrick's house and we started talking. Next thing I know, he's saying he used to live in New York and his favorite time was, autumn in New York. And I said, "Well, I lived there and it was October with my girlfriend and and the trees and everything." And we started talking and I just started writing lyrics with him and his assistant. And that song took a life of its own and brought it back to my studio, used his tracks and sang that song in my studio. And that's how October in New York was born. It was just this, he'd already had the song strings with no melody, and I wrote the melody and lyric with him on it. And it was such a thrill, such a thrill. And I wanted to work with this guy more than anything, Kyle. Unfortunately, he died of lung cancer recently. So
Yeah.
he was not well, but man, he was an amazing, unique string arranger.
Well, your
Yeah.
partnership has produced something extremely beautiful. Like I said,
Oh,
in the types of music that we're talking about, you're right. Like this is one of those, and not
oh,
every artist gets a chance to find a groove throughout their career, and you have found such a perfect groove. It feels like, as a fan, I say that. I'm so happy with the type of music that you're putting out here.
oh, thank you, Kyle, so much. It's been my pleasure to be here. Let's do it again.
Absolutely, Steve. Thank you so much. Take care and happy holidays.
All right. Say hi to everybody out there for me.
All right, I will. Bye.
Bye bye.
And a big thanks to Steve Perry. The new album is called The Season. Thanks to you as well for checking out the episode. Again, please hit the subscribe button before you get out of here so you can keep up with all the interviews that we put out every single week. A new one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Acast, Podchaser, NPR, YouTube for the video versions, or again, anywhere you get your podcasts from. Subscribe to Kyle Meredith with. After that, head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. An hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, and bonus interviews. Again, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all three of them at Kyle Meredith. I do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time. Consequence Podcast Network.
Louisville, Kentucky. Man, I know that well. We played there a lot.
It's easy to hear your favorite artist on WFPK from wherever you are. Listen on your smart speaker, live stream from our website at WFPK.org from Louisville Public Media.